A surprise invitation, a promise fulfilled, and hoping Michael himself would put on a show. Over 30 million people tuned in for the King of Pop's memorial, but when it came to those who attended, it was about more than saying goodbye. Brooke Shields and Michael Jackson had a complicated relationship, and she revealed in the 2023 documentary Pretty Baby, Brooke Shields, that although he had often claimed that they were dating, she had never seen their relationship like that, even though he had suggested they adopt a child together.
So we were just really friends. But he always wanted to be sort of seen with me.
His claim that they were seeing each other when she was in fact dating Dean Cain had resulted in the friendship unraveling, but when Shields was asked to speak at his memorial service, she knew she wanted to say not what they'd written for her, but something deeply personal. She recalled in her eulogy, "To us, it was the most natural and easiest of friendships. Both of us needed to be adults very early, but when we were together, we were two little kids having fun." Afterwards, she spoke with Access Hollywood about the memorial, saying that she hadn't been told the coffin was going to be on stage. She'd done the whole thing thinking that Jackson was going to emerge from the coffin and begin a show, but of course that didn't happen. Shields went on to say she regretted losing touch and not reaching out to him when he needed a friend. When Smokey Robinson took the stage to memorialize Michael Jackson, he called knowing the Jackson family one of his greatest blessings. He too was glad that so many people had turned out and tuned in to memorialize Jackson for his music, and added his belief that the pop star was going to live forever through his music and never be forgotten. In 2011, Access Hollywood caught up with Robinson at the Michael Forever tribute concert and spoke with him a little more about the ceremony. For Robinson, it wasn't just a matter of eulogizing a talented musician. He said, "Michael was my little brother. I knew him since he was 10 years old. The overall picture? He was the best I ever saw." Robinson also pulled no punches when it came to the media circus around Jackson's death and memorial. In the month following the memorial, speculative headlines dominated the media, and as reported by EW, Robinson condemned them for making the grieving process even harder for Jackson's children. John Mayer appeared on Larry King Live not long after stunning the audience at Michael Jackson's memorial service with his instrumental performance of Human Nature, and he was absolutely honest about being asked to perform at the ceremony. Unlike others who were invited to perform or speak, he hadn't been close to Jackson. In fact, they'd never even met. His first order of business when he got the invitation was to confirm that the request had actually come directly from the family, which he said helped him process everything. Mayer said that he had really needed to take a step back to decide just how he was going to approach performing at the memorial. King then asked Mayer what Michael Jackson had meant to him, and Mayer remarked how lucky he was to have been growing up at a time when Jackson's album Thriller was hugely popular.
You know, the TV and the radio picks music for you, and what a blessing to have the music that just streams through in your house be a masterwork.
That connection, Mayer said, was what he needed to draw on to be able to play at the service, and he also touched on why he decided not to sing. He decided that he just wasn't up for it and knew there was no way he could even come close to Jackson's work. One of the most moving tributes at Michael Jackson's memorial service came from Usher, who performed Jackson's Gone Too Soon. Usher's version of the song was made even more powerful by the tears that came at the end, as he touched Jackson's coffin and embraced the members of the Jackson family. When Usher sat down with Nightline, he shared some fond memories of hearing his first Michael Jackson song, the Jackson 5's cover of I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. He said he'd been a fan for as long as he could remember, but more than that, he respected the kind of performer and person Jackson was. The chance to take center stage at his memorial service wasn't just closing a chapter in Usher's life, it was paying tribute to a lifelong influence, and it was just as hard as it looked, with Usher saying, "I didn't make it through rehearsal because I really got choked up, but I knew this was an opportunity to pay tribute to Michael in a way that was very helpful. There will never be another Michael Jackson in this lifetime." After Mariah Carey performed at Michael Jackson's memorial service, she made it clear that she hadn't been happy with the rendition of the Jackson 5 hit I'll Be There. Afterwards, she tweeted her apologies, saying, "Just recovering from the day, still filled with sadness. I could barely keep myself from crying. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to pull it together and really do it right, but I was literally choked up when I saw him there in front of me." Carey went on to say that as long as his music continued to be played, that he was never really gone. While their friendship was well known, Carey shared some more details about her connection with Jackson in her memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey. She recalled being around 14 years old when her mother Patricia sang Jackson's line from Rockwell's Somebody's Watching Me with an operatic flair. It made her daughter laugh, and Mariah later wrote, "She stared at me until every bit of lightness faded. Almost growling, she said, 'You should only hope that one day you become half the singer I am.' My heart dropped. Still to this day, what she said haunts me and hurts me." When Queen Latifah took the stage at the memorial, she lauded Michael Jackson for his relatability. She recalled seeing him perform, saying that he never felt like a celebrity up on high.
We felt like he was right there, right for us. You believed in Michael and he believed in you. He made you believe in yourself.
The following day, she appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman, where she lamented never having been able to meet him. Her feelings on what it had meant to be able to speak at the memorial were incredibly poignant, and she shared that even though she'd never met him, he'd inspired her in incredible ways. She called him not only a great entertainer, but a great person who was a huge influence on her, saying, especially being a black kid, it's like, this is where you realize that, wow, you can make it onto television. It was an inspiration and let you know that you can make it. Shaheen Jafargholi was just 12 years old when he took the stage at Michael Jackson's memorial service. He'd gotten to the finals of Britain's Got Talent, and his rendition of the Jackson 5's Who's Loving You got Jackson's attention in a big way. Jackson had asked him if he'd perform on stage with him at London's O2 Arena, a potentially career-changing opportunity that Jafargholi never got to experience because of Jackson's passing. Instead, the family asked him to perform at the memorial service. Jafargholi told the Daily Mail, "It wasn't until I'd finished that I realized what I'd just done. Michael Jackson's coffin was in front of me. I felt quite sad. I thought, I got so close, now I'm even closer, and he's gone." He went on to say that he and his mother had been invited to a reception afterward, where Janet Jackson thanked him for his participation in the memorial. As he recalled, "I was thinking, I should be thanking you for giving me this opportunity to be here and say goodbye to Michael Jackson." When Al Sharpton took the stage at Michael Jackson's memorial service, he lauded not only Michael, but the entire Jackson family for their dedication to following their dreams and refusing to be deterred by whatever negativity the world had to offer. Sharpton had said that he saw it as his duty to defend Jackson's memory and honor. After the memorial, Sharpton sat down with Essence to say that the facts of Jackson's life shouldn't be overshadowed by accusations made against him, and he was going to make sure that Jackson was properly remembered, saying, "To tell us that we shouldn't celebrate facts is to tell us that we must embrace a supremacist fantasy, and I don't think we should do that." When Kobe Bryant spoke at Michael Jackson's memorial service, he lauded Jackson not only for his music, but for his humanitarian work. While many people might think of Thriller before they think of his work with charities, Bryant shared the important reminder that Jackson held a title in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most charities supported by a pop star. When Bryant appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live, he took the chance to share a bit about their long-standing friendship that started when Bryant was in his late teens. Jackson, he said, took the time to sit down with him and explain just how he'd created success for himself, who had inspired him, and how he'd used the lessons they taught him in his own life.
Like, I thought I was working hard until I met him, and I was like, yo, dude.
Bryant was on HBO's Real Sports when he shared that their friendship started in 1998, when he picked up the phone to find Jackson on the other end of the line. He recalled, "I was starting to get flack for being an introvert and being so serious all the time about the game, and he wanted to call and give me encouragement and say, don't change for them." The opening address and closing prayer at Michael Jackson's memorial service was given by Pastor Lucious Smith from Old Pasadena's Friendship Baptist Church. Smith told the Pasadena Star-News that after Jackson's death, he had reached out to Jackson's brother and church regular Randy Jackson, leaving a message promising that he would be there to offer any support that was needed. When he was taken up on the offer, it was in a big way. Randy called him as a representative of the whole family and asked him to do the closing prayer for the service. The memorial would welcome 18,000 people in person, and it would be viewed by millions more. But Smith said that he looked at it in another way, saying, "I was honored and pleased to be a part of it. Not so much the event, but just to be asked by someone to honor his brother, who happens to be a superstar." It was the biggest group of people Smith had ever spoken in front of, but it remained a deeply personal experience that centered around a family who had lost a loved one, recalling, "It was reverent. I don't think somber would be the right word, that's too heavy, but it wasn't really a celebration. It was an honorable, respectful atmosphere." While a very public, high-profile memorial service might bring comfort to some, others may want to weather the worst of their grief in private. That said, it's not entirely surprising that there were some famous faces that were conspicuously absent from Michael Jackson's memorial service, including his longtime friend Diana Ross. Ross issued a statement addressing her absence, explaining that her grief was a personal and private thing, and saying, "I have decided to pause and be silent. This feels right for me. Michael was a personal love of mine, a treasured part of my world, part of the fabric of my life in a way that I can't seem to find words to express." Her sentiment was echoed by Elizabeth Taylor, who tweeted, "I just don't believe that Michael would want me to share my grief with millions of others. How I feel is between us, not a public event."